After Billionaire CEO mocked her in Arabic, this black waitress delivered an incredible response. Maya stood behind the counter, her apron stained with splashes of coffee and the scent of freshly grilled burgers clinging to her. The diner buzzed like a hive, filled with laughter and chatter as waitresses dashed between tables, refilling drinks and serving plates piled high with comfort food. But tonight was different, it crackled with an energy that seemed to vibrate in the air. That's when he walked in, a billionaire CEO dripping with arrogance, flanked by his entourage like a king with fools. At first, Maya's heart sank into her stomach as he settled into a booth within her line of sight. With each laugh that erupted from his group, she could feel the weight of judgment hanging in the air. Then, without warning, he leaned back, smug and disdainful, and shot a mocking comment in Arabic aimed directly at her. The words cut through the din, sharp and ignominious, causing her cheeks to flush with a cocktail of anger and humiliation, but the real stinger wasn't just his words, it was his feeling of superiority, the blatant disregard for the struggles she carried on her shoulders. In this busy diner, her family, her brother, her mother, they were all represented by a single determined waitress. But here he was, revoltingly privileged, holding the power she wished she didn't feel so desperate for. Her breath caught as she glanced around to find eyes on her, murmurs and glances rippling through the patrons, a collective sense of injustice ignited in the crowd. "Hey, we've all been there," whispered an older woman at the far end of the diner, her voice barely above a hush. "Don't let him get to you." It was a comment dripping with the bitter salt of shared experience. Others joined in. Stories of their own battles began to surface, tales of debt, discrimination, and the unfaltering resilience to rise again. The air thickened with a sense of community so tangible it was almost electric. Maya felt a warmth inside her, a flicker of courage sparked. Before she even realized what she was doing, she took a deep breath and placed her hand on the table beside her. The act felt monumental, like the ground had shifted beneath her. Her chest tightened, every part of her wanting to flee, but standing here would mean silence and never again. With her family's dreams on her shoulders, suppressed rage morphed into empowered determination. "Excuse me," she said, her voice steady despite the tumult inside her. "You think it's funny to mock someone you view as less than you? I've worked hard to be here for my family, for my future. You don't know my story." The room grew silent. All eyes turned to her, even the CEO looked momentarily surprised, his smirk faltering. In that moment, Maya was no longer just a waitress, she was a voice for the voiceless, standing up against everything that felt wrong. "I challenge you, look at me, really look at me. My dignity is not defined by your arrogance. My worth is not tied to your privilege." Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The atmosphere shifted deeper than just words, an unshakable urgency punctuated every breath. Moments passed like eternity, and Maya wondered if she dared hope for acknowledgement from him. Then, unexpectedly, a hand shot up from the crowd, a local business owner offering a scholarship to passionate, hardworking individuals. "You deserve a chance, Maya," he declared. Cheers erupted as the entire diner rallied behind her, their applause shaking the very foundation of her existence. Would she accept the scholarship? Would she break free from the cycles holding her family back? The tension in the air swirled with possibilities, each heartbeat pounding toward a crucial decision that lay ahead. What would Maya choose? Maya stood in the diner, the echoes of applause still resonating in her ears. Every cheer seemed to lift her higher, igniting a fire she didn't know existed within her. Yet, beneath the surface excitement, doubt lingered like a shadow at dusk. Could she truly seize this moment? While those familiar faces beamed encouragement, her mind spiraled back to the man she had just confronted, the billionaire. He sat stone-faced, his earlier bravado replaced by a confused scowl. For a split second, her resolve flickered. Was she really ready to embrace the opportunity? To stand against everything she had known, to breathe life into the aspirations that had always felt just out of reach? She studied him, the silver threads in his tailored suit glinting under the diner's fluorescent lights, and felt an involuntary shudder pass through her. "Make the most of it, Maya." An enthusiastic voice broke through her thoughts. It was the same woman who had comforted her before. The warmth in her eyes reminded Maya of her purpose here, and how much her family had fought for brighter days. As the crowd continued to chant her name, she lifted her hand, eager to drown out her fears with purpose. "Thank you, everyone. Your support means the world to me." Applause erupted once more, a symphony that wrapped around her like a cozy blanket on a winter's night. The diner's collective spirit held the promise of dreams yet unfulfilled, and she felt every heartbeat sinking to hers, but then, as if sensing the shift, the billionaire rose from his seat. With a slow, deliberate swagger, he moved toward her, flanked by his followers who looked just as bemused as he was. Maya's chest tightened, the moment felt monumental, uncertain, as if they were standing on a precipice that could tip one way or the other. "Maya," he drawled, his voice dripping with condescension. "What makes you think your story is worth more than anyone else's here?" The dismissiveness in his tone reignited the embers of anger she thought had cooled. "What makes you think stories can be measured?" She countered, her voice steady despite the welling tempest inside her. "We all have struggles some more visible than others. I'm not here to compete with you, I'm here to tell the truth." Gasps erupted from the surrounding tables, and whispers traveled like wildfire. The tension crackled with an electric charge, every patron now leaning in, hungry for the confrontation. It dawned on Maya that, just moments before in that very same diner, she had felt small, insignificant even. Yet here she was, steadfast and unwavering, as if she were transforming before their eyes. Suddenly, a voice from the back called out, "That's right. Don't back down." More voices chimed in with resolute agreement, empowering her even more. Maya's heart raced as satisfaction flowed through her. This was bigger than herself now, it was for her family, her community, every person who had ever been dismissed or belittled. She felt a swell of fortitude rising within. "What will you do, CEO?" she challenged, locking eyes with him. "Will you continue to belittle those around you, or will you choose to elevate them?" The room fell silent again, as anticipation loomed. Inside her, an awakening surged, a fierce desire to shift the narrative she had been living confronted her with a profound choice, yet, in the blink of an eye, the billionaire's casual smile returned. He leaned closer, almost conspiratorial. "Game on, Maya. Let us see who comes out on top." With that, he turned on his heel, striding back to his table, leaving a stunned silence hanging in the air. Maya's heart raced not just from their encounter, but from the thrill of a challenge. Did he just unknowingly light a fire in her to prove him wrong? She glanced around at her community standing tall, their eyes shining with hope and pride. The question wasn't just about whether she would accept the scholarship. It was deeper than that. Would she continue to take a stand against someone who epitomized oppression, turning her battle into something greater? And thus, the stage was set. The battle lines drawn, a world of possibilities spread out before her, waiting to be explored. Whatever the outcome, she knew one thing: the next time they met, she would be ready. But would she find the strength to fight back? The next chapter of her journey loomed ahead, brimming with uncertainty yet pulsing with promise. Maya felt a rush of triumph coursing through her as the diner settled back into an eager hum. The initial shock of her confrontation lingered, but so did the warmth of her supporters. It wasn't just a challenge anymore, it was a movement. One flicker of defiance was igniting the flames of rebellion in hearts around her. But as sweet as the applause felt, the billionaire's smirk haunted her thoughts like a persistent ghost. That was not just a man with power, he was a man who wielded influence. What had she really accomplished? Her gut flared with uncertainty. "Are you okay?" The woman from before, Sheila, stepped closer, her brow stitched with concern. "You really held your own." "I guess I did," Maya replied, trying to mask her nerves. "But it's hard to shake the feeling that I'm just small fry to him." Sheila shook her head firmly. "You're not small fry. You're a voice. And his arrogance makes him smaller. Remember that." The words sank in, easing the tightness in her chest. Maya nodded, absorbing the encouragement while stealing glances at the billionaire's table. He was surrounded by his polished entourage, laughter spilling from their lips like champagne. Was he laughing at her? Or was he plotting his next move? As the lingering applause faded, Maya felt the eyes of the diner upon her. It was both thrilling and terrifying. Every gaze seemed to say, "What's next?" It wasn't just about her battle anymore, the ripple effect was palpable. She stepped forward, her heart beating to an unfamiliar rhythm. "Listen, everyone," she called out, her voice steady. "This isn't just about me. It's about all of us. Our stories. Our struggles. We can't let people like him drown us out." Cheers erupted again, building with a fervor that resonated deep within her. In that moment of connection, familiar faces appeared before her mother's eyes, filled with pride, her brother's playful grin, the neighbors who had always believed. Each face represented determination, love, and hope, but suddenly, a darker thought pricked her heart. What if the billionaire's resources outmatched her resolve? The prospect flew at her like a charged storm, threatening to dampen her spirit. "Let's take this outside." A protest. Someone shouted from the back of the diner. Maya turned, surprised by the fervent energy blooming around her. "A protest? Here. What do we want?" The crowd erupted into chants, fierce and unwavering. "Equal voices. Equal power." Maya's chest surged with exhilaration. This was more than just her and the billionaire, it was a community rising to meet the challenge. The fire inside her blazed anew. But would this spark lead to something bigger, or would it fizzle into obscurity? As the crowd buzzed with renewed energy, she knew she had to strategize. What could she do to keep the momentum alive? Would she really step onto a bigger stage, perhaps even against him in terms of business? The stakes were higher now, the weight of their hopes resting on her shoulders. Maya glanced at Sheila, whose encouraging nod fueled her resolve. "Let's gather everyone. We need to set a plan." But as she turned back toward the billionaire's table, ready to face him more directly, she caught the glint of his eye, a reminder of the battle yet to be won. "Game on, indeed," she whispered under her breath, realizing that this was only the beginning. Would she rise to the occasion or stumble under the weight of her newfound responsibility? The next phase of the fight was just starting, and Maya felt the thrilling pull of uncertainty beckoning her forward. Maya stepped outside into the cool night air, the sounds of the diner muffled behind her. The energy of the crowd surged around her like a wave, and for a fleeting moment, she felt invincible. But as she took a deep breath, the reality of the situation settled heavily on her shoulders. There were no illusions left. This was a real fight, and the stakes were high. The street was dimly lit, but the enthusiasm of the crowd illuminated their faces, igniting determination in their eyes. Sheila stood next to her, scanning the sea of people. "Whatever happens next, we do it together, okay?" she said, locking eyes with Maya. The sincerity of her friend's voice reassured her, much like a warm blanket on a cold night. Maya raised her hand, feeling the adrenaline course through her. "We need to build a plan," she shouted. The crowd grew quiet, hanging on to her words. "Tonight is just the beginning. Let us not just shout in anger. We'll channel that energy into something effective, something actionable." "Like what?" someone from the crowd called out. "Let us organize." "We could set up a committee," Sheila suggested. "Reach out to others in our community. Each of us can share our stories. Let us show everyone what's at stake." "Yes. We can take it online, share our messages." Another voice chimed in. Excited murmurs turned into approving shouts. Maya felt a surge of hope. They could do this. Each person had a voice, and together they formed a symphony of resilience. Let us unite our stories. Maya echoed. Think of the people who can't stand for themselves. We'll be their voice. Cheers erupted again, and she couldn't help but smile as the sound wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. With a clearer direction, the face of the movement started to crystallize in her mind, then the doubt crept in again. Could this energy really create change? The thought weighed on her, a small voice whispering that it was all idealism. But she shook it off. If they focused their passion and worked together, anything was possible. Just like they had in that diner. Suddenly, a figure loomed at the edge of the gathering. It was the billionaire, backlit by a street lamp, his smug confidence radiating even in the darkness. His entourage stood back, but he took a step closer, his eyes scanning the crowd with a mix of disdain and curiosity. What is this? A mini-revolution? He called out, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Maya's heartbeat quickened. Now was the moment to confront him. No, it's not a mini-revolution, she shouted back, it's a community uprising. And it's about time people like you heard us. The crowd responded with fervor, chants of equal voices. Equal power. Roaring to life once more. She could almost feel the vibrations of their unity thrumming beneath her feet. But the billionaire merely chuckled, his gaze unwavering, as if waiting to dismiss them all. Maya stood tall, refusing to back down. We're not going away. We're a force you can't ignore. What if I make sure you regret ever stepping up? He taunted, his smile turning wicked. Maya's blood ran cold, but as she locked eyes with Sheila, she felt that warmth rise again, a network of love and belief anchoring her. It was bigger than her. You can't silence a community, she declared, her voice steady, resonating through the tension. You can suppress us, but we'll just grow stronger. The billionaire raised an eyebrow, his casual posture shifting as the realization of her words seeped in. A flicker of surprise crossed his face. Had she struck a nerve? As the protest continued, Maya felt an electric thrill run down her spine. This was not just about her anymore, it was about everyone who felt oppressed. They had a chance to change the narrative, but the real question loomed overhead: how far would the billionaire go to maintain his control? And what repercussions did her stand really carry? Maya took a deep breath, knowing that this was only the beginning of a battle that was likely to escalate. With tension hanging thick in the air, she wondered if she was ready for what lay ahead. Was she prepared to face the storm head-on? Maya felt the weight of the tension pressing down on her, but the strength of the people surrounding her made it bearable. Behind her, the crowd continued to echo their chants, their voices weaving a thundering blanket of unity. Her heart pounded, fueled by both fear and hope. Would confronting the billionaire bring them closer to their goals, or would it send them spiraling into danger? Remember why you're out here. Sheila called from the back of the crowd, her voice rising above the noise. It's not just us. It's for everyone who has ever felt unheard. Maya surveyed the faces around her, some anxious, others determined. She saw the young faces full of passion and the older ones conveying a quiet strength that came from experience. They all had their reasons for standing there, and she suddenly felt the wave of responsibility crashing onto her. This was a moment she couldn't squander. The billionaire still lingered at the edge, a predator watching the potential upheaval. He smirked as he surveyed the crowd, judging them as if they were pawns in a game. Something within her snapped. She stepped forward, her heart racing, and fixed him with a glare. You think we're just a bunch of angry voices? She shouted into the night, her words sharp as glass. We are more than that. We're a community. We have stories, and we stand together. Stories won't pay the bills. He countered dismissively, a wave of laughter rippling through his entourage. Maya took a deep breath, suppressing the anger rising within her. Then let us talk numbers. She shot back, emboldened by the rising tides around her. Do you know how many people your decisions have hurt? How many families depend on what you choose to do with your wealth? This isn't just business for us. This is our lives. The laughter began to fade, replaced by murmurs of acknowledgement from the crowd. The energy shifted as people began to recognize the truth in her words. She could sense the billionaire's smirk falter. He didn't expect her to fight back with facts. Sheila stepped beside her, her expression fierce. We won't let you turn us into numbers on spreadsheets. We are real people, and we deserve real change. Maya could feel the collective energy crackling like electricity. The billionaire's confidence wavered just a fraction, and she seized the moment. This was their chance. What do we want? She shouted, raising her arm to rally the crowd. Change. When do we want it? The crowd roared back, their voices like a collective heartbeat. Now. Maya responded, her voice ringing out clear and strong. We have the power if we come together. Sheila added, her passion igniting another wave of cheers. This was it, the community was alive, and they were ready to fight, yet, beneath the surface of their unity, doubt flickered in the corners of Maya's mind. What if their voices weren't powerful enough? What if the billionaire unleashed everything he had to crush their spirits? The stakes were high, and they could be risking everything. Make no mistake, I can make your lives miserable, the billionaire interjected, his tone suddenly serious. You think you know what you're doing, but you have no idea what I'm capable of. Maya felt a chill spike through the crowd, it was almost tangible. The threat hung heavily in the air, but she pushed it aside. We are not afraid of you. She called back, her voice fierce. You can't buy our courage. The crowd erupted in applause, but the fear remained, lurking just under the surface. As the protest gathered momentum, Maya knew the battle had just begun. What else would they face from him? They needed to strategize, build their defenses, and stand tall against the looming threat of retaliation. Let us not back down. Together, we can create real change. She urged, raising her hand again. But as the cheers rose like a tide, a nagging question tugged at her heart. How far would they need to push to cross the lines drawn by power? And what would happen when they did? The crowd roared on, but the crack in their resolve tightened like a vice, leaving Maya wondering if the way forward might come at an unimaginable cost. Would they be able to hold on to their courage when the storm finally hit? The night was electric, charged with a mixture of anger and hope. As Maya stood there, the roar of the crowd echoed in her ears, but she couldn't shake the cold fingers of doubt that curled around her heart. The billionaire may have underestimated their strength today, but she knew he wouldn't take this lying down. He thrived on chaos, and chaos had a way of creeping in when least expected. Don't let his words sink in. Sheila yelled, her voice rising above the chants. We are not out here for a one-and-done protest. We're here for the long haul. The crowd rallied behind her, arms raised, fists pumping in agreement. They were fierce, a living testament to resilience. But amid the fervor, Maya felt her stomach twist. What if they didn't have enough? What if everything they fought for came crashing down? Let us move forward. Someone shouted from the back, and the crowd surged toward the mansion, a mix of anticipation and dread pulsating through them. Maya felt the pulse of the moment, but she also sensed the lurking danger. The billionaire was no stranger to power plays, she could only imagine what he had in store. As they marched, she glanced back at him. His face was now devoid of that smug smile, replaced by a hard glare. It was clear he was plotting, and that thought sent a chill through her bones. Stay close. She urged Sheila, who was now beside her, practically radiating with determination. We'll need each other more than ever. They pushed forward, the crowd thrumming with a mix of adrenaline and fear. The security team around the billionaire had shifted, their posture rigid and ready. With each step, Maya noticed more cameras flicking on, capturing the swelling tide of protesters charging toward the gate. The billionaire would have his moment to respond, she just hoped it wouldn't be a nightmare. Suddenly, a commotion broke out behind them. A group of counter-protesters, clad in sharp suits and clinging to signs that read slogans dismissive of their cause, appeared, aiming to disrupt the peaceful march. Murmurs began to ripple through their ranks, fanning out the flames of unease. "What do we want?" Maya shouted to drown out the negativity. "Change." The crowd replied, their voices clamoring louder, but the weight of doubt pressed down heavier this time. Sheila turned to her. "We can't let them shake us. Focus on the message." Maya took a deep breath, the moisture in the air clinging to her skin. "Yes. Let us focus." As they neared the grand entrance of the mansion, the billionaire stepped forward. He raised a hand, silencing the crowd almost instantly. "You all are wasting your time. You have no understanding of what you are up against. I can crush you all with one snap of my fingers," he sneered, sending chills through the crowd again. Maya felt a surge of bravery wash over her. "You may think you have the power, but this is not just a fight for us. It's for every single person you've stepped on." His icy demeanor faltered, just for an instant. The crowd rippled with energy, holding tight to her words. The tension hung heavy. She could sense the pebble ricocheting, poised to break the dam. Voices began to chant again, stronger this time. "Power to the people." But then the billionaire leaned in, his voice low, almost conspiratorial. "Let us see just how much power you really have. I suggest you enjoy this moment because it could be your last." An uneasy silence followed. The threat was more than just empty words, it was a warning. Maya's heart raced. What would happen if they pressed on? What could he unleash? She glanced around at the faces of her fellow supporters. Determination mingled with uncertainty. It took everything in Maya to keep her resolve strong. They had come too far to back down now. "We stay together. No matter what," she shouted defiantly. Amidst the echoing chants, the weight of what was to come settled on her. She had led them to this moment, but would she lead them to safety? With tension stretching thick in the air, Maya realized they were standing at a precipice. Every choice from here could tip the scales in one direction or another. Would they have the bravery to face the looming storm, or did the threat cast by the billionaire dampen their light? As the crowd surged, a loud crash echoed from behind them. The barricades had just fallen. Would they hold their ground against the tide of hostility closing in? The crash of the barricades felt like a thunderclap in Maya's chest. Panic spread like wildfire, and for a moment, chaos threatened to swallow them whole. She caught a glimpse of Sheila's eyes, wide with fear but rooted in determination, and it gave her a flicker of hope. "Back together!" Maya shouted, her voice cutting through the tumult. "Hold the line. We can't let them break us." As if ignited by her words, the crowd tightened, forming a protective wall of bodies. She could feel the energy crackling around them, fear mixing with defiance. "This is our space!" Someone yelled, and the reaction was instantaneous. People raised their fists, chanting louder, drowning out the counter-protesters who were trying to infiltrate their ranks. But as the thunderous chant surged, Maya caught sight of the billionaire. Standing at the entrance, surrounded by his security team, he wore a sinister grin that sent a fresh wave of chills down her spine. It was the grin of someone who held all the cards and knew it. "Disruption is his game," Sheila whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "What is he planning?" The counter-protesters began to clash with them, shoving and pushing. Maya saw the riot gear of security guards glinting in the dying sunlight as they advanced. Fear threatened to overshadow her resolve, but she couldn't let it. If they faltered now, it would be over. "Stay strong," she yelled, glancing at the people beside her. Their faces were set with fierce determination, but doubt flickered in some eyes. "Remember why we're here," Sheila added, her voice rising with conviction. As the line of security began to push the crowd back, the billionaire's voice rang out again, dripping with mockery. "You think your numbers matter? I'll send you all home defeated. Just watch." The crowd screamed back, defiance written across every face. Maya could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. She stepped forward, taking a deep breath, her heart pounding like a drum. The billionaire's gaze locked onto her, intrigued yet dismissive. "Your arrogance will be your downfall," she yelled. "We are the voices you can't silence." A murmur of agreement raced through the crowd, growing into a wave of enthusiasm. The cheers of the people swelled and pulsed around her. It was like a tidal wave, raw and powerful, like nothing she had ever experienced before. They were a collective force of hope, and they wouldn't back down, but just as victory seemed within reach, a loud horn blared from a nearby police vehicle. Flashing lights lit up the dusk, illuminating the scene. Officers poured out, forming lines, creating a barrier to contain the protest. Murmurs of worry spread, and she felt the energy shift from aggressive to defensive. "Do we keep pushing?" Sheila asked, her brow knitted with concern. Maya hesitated. This wasn't just a battle for change anymore, it felt like a battle for their very safety. Standing at this crossroads, she had to decide whether to lead them forward into potential conflict or retreat to fight another day. Her heart raced as the moment stretched out. She saw the faces of her friends, the passion in their eyes, the fear mixed in. Could they withstand the onslaught? "We can't stop," someone cried out behind her. Maya felt a surge of adrenaline. They had rallied so far. "Stay with me. If they push us, we push back." But the billionaire's laughter echoed harshly, muffling her next words. "You really believe you can win? I gamble every day. Don't stand against a storm without knowing how to weather it." His taunt hung in the air, mocking and sinister. Maya clenched her fists. The storm was here and she could either let it crush them or let it fuel their fire. "Let us show them what we're made of," she shouted, her voice ringing with conviction. "For every one of us they try to silence, they are waking 1,000 more." The crowd responded. A roaring chant rose, only now filled with renewed strength. But even as the moment swelled, she knew that this was only the beginning. The real battle was about to unfold. As the officers closed in, and the billionaire kept watch, Maya felt a shiver of uncertainty. Would they have what it took to face him and the forces aligned against them? With adrenaline coursing through her veins, she prepared to stand firm. The night was far from over, but would the darkness sweep them away, or would they find the light to fight back? The pressure in the air thickened, moisture swirling with the night's tension. The chants of the crowd echoed like a heartbeat, strong and relentless. Maya could feel the rhythm pulse beneath her feet, urging her forward. "Don't back down," someone shouted. It was Jason, standing close to her, eyes blazing with determination. The fear she had seen earlier was melting away, replaced by raw courage. Maya locked eyes with him and nodded, feeling this was their moment. This was her time to lead. She felt the warmth of solidarity wrap around her like a warm blanket, and that blanket ignited a fire deep in her chest. As the officers advanced, shields held high, law and order attempted to drown out their lives, their voices, their stories. But within this sea of uniformed authority, they remained a defiant tide. "Advance!" Maya shouted. "We move together." And they did. Like waves crashing into a barrier, they stepped forward, not away. The crowd surged as one, pushing against the line of officers with a force born from desperation and hope. Maya felt the weight of their collective energy, lifting her higher. Yet amid the noise, the billionaire stood unmoved, still grinning, his eyes surveying the chaos like a conductor at a symphony, overseeing discord. "I'll take your voices and turn them to dust," he shouted, his voice cold and piercing in the night. "Not if we shout louder," Sheila yelled, her fists raised high. Maya drew in a breath, her heart hammering in her chest. They were more than just voices, they were a chorus and every single note counted. She took a step closer to the front line, her presence electrifying the air. "Together, we're unstoppable," Maya called, rallying those around her. She beckoned them closer, squeezing through the press of bodies. Stand tall, everyone. They can't silence us. The officers, positioned like forming walls, were met with unexpected resistance. Maya sensed the pushback as others joined her, feet planted firm, shoulders squared against the looming threat. Each voice surged closer, each pulse an act of rebellion against suppression. Don't give up. For justice. For truth. Someone from the crowd echoed. The chant swelled, emboldened by the spirit of unity. It rose around her like a tempest, eroding the fear, but in that moment, a moment filled with unity and anger, Maya also felt the weight of doubt creeping in. What if the pushback was only a temporary burst of energy? They were outnumbered, and the billionaire had vast resources at his disposal. What if this was a storm they couldn't weather? Maya looked to Sheila for reassurance, but even her friend's face hinted at the same uncertainties. The billionaire's laughter cut through her thoughts once again like a blade. We're not afraid of your empty threats. Sheila yelled, determination lining her features, yet, as the barricades shifted, so too did the security guards. We will clear this area. One of them barked, voice steady. Maya's heart pounded hard against her ribs, and she knew this was the point of no return. They couldn't back down. Are you with me? Maya shouted, spinning around to face her supporters. They want to divide us. We have to stand strong. As one. The crowd echoed back, strength intertwining with their fear, but just as the chant reached a fever pitch, a loud crash interrupted the moment her heart dropped. A protester had been thrown to the ground by a guard. Instinct kicked in, and she rushed forward, adrenaline coursing through her. No! She screamed, pushing through the crowd. She had to help. She wouldn't let anyone fall without fighting for them, but as Maya surged forward, she had no idea the move she was making would change everything. Stop! A voice commanded, like thunder rolling overhead. As her pulse raced even faster, she turned to see who had spoken. Would they rise against her then, just as the night sky was rising against the light? Her heart hammered, because in that instant, she knew the true battle was only beginning. Maya hesitated, her heart still racing from the chaos unfolding around her. She scanned the crowd, searching for a familiar face, hoping for strength in numbers. Each breath she took felt loaded with uncertainty. What did this newfound voice command? Step back! Barked the officer again, his eyes narrowing into slits. The crowd held its breath, but Maya felt the pressure build. The air was thick with anticipation, a live wire teetering on the edge. She'd always believed in standing her ground, and now, with that conviction swelling within her, she decided to push through. Now! Help me! She shouted, and a few brave hearts flanked her, stepping beside her with fists clenched. The officer tightened his grip on his baton, glaring at Maya defiantly. You wouldn't dare. Maya met his gaze head-on. I will if it means standing up for what's right. The words spilled out like a waterfall, fervor unchained. She lunged forward, feeling the heat of her passion ignite something deep within her. Let them go. They deserve to stand here just as much as you do. Her voice rang across the field of bodies, igniting more shouts, more hope. In that moment, she saw the eyes of those around her shifting, igniting like embers. One by one, they began to join her, a tide rising against the oppressive force. They had seen the injustice, the anger bubbling beneath their skins like a boiling pot ready to spill over, and Maya had sparked it. Stop! Please! A protester, a young woman with tears glistening, cried out, watching as her friend was yanked backwards by a guard. We're here for equality. Maya's heart clenched at the sight. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about every individual fighting for recognition, every soul crying out to be heard. She took a deep breath, her chest swelling with both fear and determination. It was time to show the strength of their unity. The crowd swelled, like a thundercloud ready to burst. Maya raised her fists high. For every voice, for every story. She bellowed, and to her surprise, the crowd erupted in response. For every voice, for every story. The officers shuffled uneasily, surprised by the collective strength that they had not anticipated. With each shout, the crowd gained notoriety, a force that was no longer easy to contain. The billionaire's laugh faded into the background, overshadowed by a primal scream for justice. Maya caught sight of Jason again, filled with an intensity that sent a chill of solidarity through her. With each unified pledge, she felt more powerful. This wasn't merely about them anymore, it was about reclaiming their humanity, their essence, but just as they surged forward, a new wave of uniforms began pouring in from the side streets. Reinforcements. Maya's heart dropped. What if this wasn't enough? What if their fight actually faltered here? No. She gasped, fear creeping back in, gnawing at her resolve. We can't let them intimidate us. Just as the new officers advanced, the billionaire's cold voice echoed again, mocking and disdainful. You think you can stop me? This is just the beginning, kids. Maya turned to the crowd, her heart racing faster than ever. We won't back down. Not today. But the echoes of doubt lingered. Would their voices, loud and united, stand tall against the empire he had built? The confrontation was looming like a dark cloud overhead, and she had no idea just how volatile it would become. Hold strong. Jason's shout rang through her, a tether anchoring her to the moment. But would they indeed hold strong, or would these new forces push them back into silence? An answer lingered in the silence that followed, one that might just change everything. Maya stood tall, her heart pounding against her ribs like a drum, as the tide of protesters surged around her. The tension in the air felt palpable, thick as fog. The billionaire's dismissive laughter echoed off the walls of the mansion behind them, and it only fueled the fire within her. This moment was theirs, and they were not backing down. Remember why we're here. She shouted, expelling the doubt that threatened to creep into her thoughts. We are not just voices, we are a community. The crowd cheered, a roar of defiance that swept through the night like a gust of wind, carrying with it the weight of their shared struggles. Every voice mattered, every story added to their strength. As Maya locked eyes with her supporters, she saw the embers of passion glowing brightly. They were all here for a common cause, one that stretched far beyond her own fight, but in that instant, a wave of fresh officers, shielded and stern, moved in like a wall of steel. The air crackled with uncertainty, and she caught Sheila's concerned expression. Maya felt her stomach twist, and for a brief moment, the noise around her faded to a hush. Fear nibbled away at her bravery. Would they really be able to stand strong against such overwhelming force? Are you with me? Maya shouted, defiance radiating off her. The crowd roared in approval, raising their fists and voices in solidarity. Yes. Came the collective response. This was not just about one brave soul but a whole sea of warriors ready to fight for dignity, justice, and equality. The officers were inching closer, batons tightening in their grips, but something sparked within Maya. She had to lead them forward. Stand together. She urged, bolstered by the unwavering support of her peers. We are a force, and we will be heard. As the protesters locked arms, the billionaire continued to watch, that smug demeanor beginning to falter before the united front. Suddenly, in a crescendo of courage, Maya broke through the ranks and stepped forward, her voice cutting through the tension like a beacon, shining brightly within the darkness. You may think you can silence us, but you are wrong. Her words rang out clear and steady. We have truth on our side, and we will stand for every soul who you've dismissed. They chanted again, power to the people. And the ground seemed to shake beneath their feet. The officers hesitated, caught off guard by this unexpected unity. Let them through. Someone shouted from the back, and the crowd surged forward, emboldened. They pushed against the forces of authority, refusing to waver. Maya could see the hesitation in the officers' stances, a crack in their facade of power, but then, raising his voice once again, the billionaire retaliated. You're just a bunch of naive dreamers. He scoffed, his voice laced with disdain. You don't understand how the world works. Maya took a step closer, defiance boiling inside her. No, we understand completely. You're the one who refuses to see that true strength lies in lifting others up, not pushing them down. The tide of the crowd surged with her words, a movement fueled not by anger but by righteous indignation. She felt support behind her like an invisible shield. As their unified voices echoed off the walls, a palpable shift took root. The officers started looking to one another, visibly shaken by the unwavering spirit of the protesters. For the first time that night, doubt lingered in the air, but it was the Billionaire's facade that started to crack. Maya raised her arm high, feeling a wave of encouragement wash over her. What do we want? She shouted. The response erupted, change. When do we want it? She called back, and the crowd bellowed, now. Just then, a compelling rhythm sparked from somewhere deep within the throng, a profound understanding that change was not just desired, it was essential. Maya soaked in the energy, realizing that this was their moment, a turning point where their collective voices could rise above any threat. The billionaire stepped back, uncertainty painted across his face as he recognized the unexpected power amassed against him. You really think this matters? I have people who'll crush you in an instant, he warned, but his words were soaked in trepidation, no longer drenched in arrogance. Through the fear and excitement that tangled inside her, Maya realized something extraordinary was happening. This wasn't just a protest, it had transformed into a movement, a revelation that echoed the cries for justice echoing across the nation. Every voice matters. Maya shouted, and the crowd responded with wild cheers, drowning out even the toughest criticism. She continued, we'll take our stories beyond this moment. We'll share our experiences and reshape the narrative because we deserve to be seen. The crowd swelled around her, energy bubbling into a boiling point. We deserve to be heard. They shouted back, unity firm beneath her leadership and propelling them forward. From behind the billionaire, his entourage exchanged nervous glances, realizing the shift in momentum. It wasn't just about the fight anymore, it was a revolution in how they approached life and one another. Let's push back, together. Sheila called. Maya saw the adrenaline rush through every body like wildfire. She felt ready, as if they were positioned to break down all barriers that had confined them for so long. This was at the call to unite against injustice, more than just a protest, but a rallying cry for change. We rise together. Maya began, and the crowd echoed back, we rise together. The billionaire faltered, pressing against that wave, and she knew in that moment, they had become a force to be reckoned with, a true embodiment of hope, strength, and the fierce resolve to turn the tide. Maya drew a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders, and she knew they were ready to face whatever storm lay ahead. It was not just about survival anymore, it was about transformation. And as she glanced at her community, faces illuminated with passion and pride, she recognized that this journey had evolved into something powerful, a testament to the strength found in unity. As the night unfolded, Maya stood resolute, knowing there was no turning back. They had awakened something historic, and whatever challenges came next, they would embrace them together. Now, all she could do was savor this moment and prepare for the next steps ahead. The fight was just beginning. So as the crowd surged once more, raising their fists and voices high, she felt the true depth of hope swaying in her heart. In the glow of collective strength, nothing could stand in their way. Together, they were ready to reclaim their rights and their stories, ready to redefine what it meant to fight for a better future. They were ready for change. And more importantly, change was finally coming. Now is the time to stand together and create the world we want to see. If you believe in this cause, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support, we need it. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending, I want to hear each one. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to rally behind the values we believe in, so don't wait not even one more second to take action. True fans know the importance of support, and now is the time to show it.